So now that we know that this is possible in red and blue version, it's time to up the challenge a bit. You see, Pokemon Yellow is hands down the harder version of Generation 1, because the Elite Four don't have as many holes as they had in red and blue. There's going to be no automatic setup on the Dugong, it can actually attack us. There are going to be no automatic setups on Lance's Dragons, they don't know agility or barrier in this version. And a lot of the other Pokemon have much more balanced movesets. It's going to get really hard when we get to the champion, because he leads off with a Sandslash that only knows 4 attacking moves. No setup moves, nothing that we can use to just get a free turn to put on a substitute or anything like that. So how are we going to get through this? Well, we have assembled a team of Pokemon available in Pokemon Yellow with only legitimate Gen 1 moves. But they have enough going for them that we're going to see some really awesome strategies that will let these level 5 Pokemon beat Pokemon 10 times their level. Let's get into this and see how it goes. So, first off, we're going to lead off with the strategy here. Now, a lot of these Pokemon have been chosen because they can either use Confusion, Sleep, or Wrap type attacks. We will still keep in the moveset moves like Dragon Rage on our Charmander and on our Dratini, but we're going to place a little more emphasis on the Toxic and Wrap strat here. That's not the only strat though. We're also going to be abusing the Substitute and Counter glitch, where if you are hit while you are in a Substitute, you can still counter the damage for the full amount that it should have been. So let's see how this goes. Here with Jynx, starting off against Lorelei, our strategy is to set up a Substitute and then counter. Once we've countered it, it goes down in 1 hit. Now we can switch for Cloyster. We want to put our own Cloyster in, and we want to try to confuse this one. Once we've got confusion on it, what we're hoping to do is to set up Toxic and Bind, or Toxic and Wrap, Toxic and Fire Spin, to be able to get through this fight. So here we get our Toxic off. Now it's time to switch back to Cloyster and see if we can clamp this one down. Here, we manage to get the luck to clamp it, but we get taken out. Okay, let's change to Moltres. Moltres can use Fire Spin, and there we go, we took it down. Next up, we have Slowbro. Now, Slowbro likes to spam Amnesia here and Psychic. So I decided to put in Ghastly, hoping that it will use Amnesia more than it uses Psychic. We get some decent luck here, we confuse it, we poison it, and now it's time to see if we can take this thing down. So, which Pokemon should we use for this? I chose Dratini. Here we can use Wrap to try to lock it in while Toxic slowly whittles it down more and more every turn. And there we go, Slowbro down. We're 3 Pokemon into Lorelei already. Next up is Jynx, and I decided to use my own Jynx here. Basically, I want to put her Jynx to sleep, then get my setup with Substitute off, and then I want to counter when Jynx uses Thrash. Again, it's calculating the damage for the counter based on what she should have done if she had hit me properly. So here she hits with Thrash, and we knock her out in 1 hit. So last up is Lapras, and Lapras will only use Confuse Ray against our Ghastly, which means that it is a super easy setup, and just let it go down. It's slow, but sure. We can no longer be affected by Confuse Ray because we're behind a Substitute. First Elite Four member, done. Next up is going to be Bruno. So we're going to do all of our healing up right here and get ready for that next section. Bruno is in some ways easier because he attacks very randomly. He'll use X defense at random times, and that's what we need to get the setup that we want on him. So here in this run, we're going to lead off with Jynx. He uses an X defend, we put him to sleep. Perfect. Now I'm actually just going to Ice Beam him down. And look at this, a level 5 Jynx is able to basically take him down by just timing his sleep to use another Lovely Kiss, and then using Ice Beam until he goes down. We actually took him down by just attacking him. Next up, against the Hitmonchan, we get knocked out. Okay, so it's time to move on to the next Pokemon. Who should we use? Well, I chose Ghastly here. Hopefully, we can get Toxic and Confuse Ray off on him. We get Toxic off, okay. So now we just really need to lock him in and let Toxic do its thing. So we switch to Dratini. We're hoping not to take an Ice Punch. Okay, well, we're down another Pokemon. That's fine. We're going to set up a substitute, and now we're going to see if we can get through this. Counter doesn't work because it only works if we're hit with a normal or a fighting type move. But fortunately, we're able to survive long enough. Now, Hitmonlee would be much easier if we still had our Ghastly, but we're continuing this one. Here with Charmander, it's just a substitute counter. Okay, next up, let's get to Onix. We want to take this thing down by confusing it, and we're going to try Ice Beam on it again. Nope, we get taken out there, so what can we do? Moltres time. We are going to Toxic and Fire Spin this thing. Yes, we get a miss. Yes, that's good, but this Pokemon can also use Screech. It can use Rock Slide, which is not perfectly accurate, so we can get through. Finally, up against Machamp, we're going to set up a substitute and try to get off Toxic. And we missed with Fire Spin. That's okay. Now it's Charmander's turn. We get a Leer. Perfect. Now we are going substitute and counter. And there we go. Bruno down. 2 of the Elite Four members have been beaten by level 5 Pokemon. Now you might notice I'm not gaining any experience. That's because I do have a hacked ROM that is giving 0 experience for every battle. That way we keep our Pokemon where they're at. If we don't do that, they'll actually end up at around level 20-ish because that's how much experience they'd get from the Elite Four. So it's on to Agatha now that we've gotten most of our healing done. We're not going to heal everything. We don't have enough items. This was my first attempt at this, so I didn't really know how many items to take with me, but hey, you know, if the strategy works, the strategy works. So let's get into that. So here, first against Gengar, we really want to just use Substitute because that's going to block a lot of its damage, and then I'm going into Dragon Rage. Agatha switches into Golbat, but Golbat just uses a lot of kind of trolly moves that don't really do anything. So we get through with our substitute intact. One Dragon Rage knocks out her Gengar substitute, and we're able to take it down. Next up, we have Haunter, and we're going to try for the same thing. Substitute into Dragon Rage. We can rest off our damage here just because it's very likely to use a lot of bad attacks against us. Here we get through with full health, and now Dragon Rage is the goal to take this thing down. And we run out of Dragon Rage on our Charmander. Okay, so I didn't use any PP ups here. These are all just fresh caught Pokemon, top TMs. We just have to find a way to get through here. We get a Dream Eater and go down. Okay, next Pokemon, Dratini. It's our only other Pokemon that knows Dragon Rage, so we have to keep it alive. I'll use Ghastly instead. Here, we're going to confuse the Haunter and then change into Dratini. Hopefully the confusion will allow us to be able to get through this. And there we go. We've taken down the Haunter. Next up, we've got Arbok. And I decide to put out Jynx and go for Lovely Kiss here. Lovely Kiss puts it to sleep, which means that now we can go ahead and switch into Dratini and use Dragon Rage to take this thing down. And I decide to also use Ghastly here because I'm worried about running out of Dragon Rage. So basically, if I can use Confuse Ray here and confuse the opponent, keep it from attacking Dratini, I just have to protect Dratini at all costs at this point, because if Dratini goes down, I don't have any good way to do damage here. We take out the Arbok, last Gengar. Here, we need the luck to put it to sleep. We got that. Now with Ghastly, we're going to confuse it because that could buy us an extra turn. Now, onto Dratini, we are going to use Dragon Rage to try to take this thing down. We get the Confusion luck, and there it goes. 3 Elite Four members, done. Now it's on to Lance, and Lance is where this gets a little challenging because he can use Hydro Pump, which is a guaranteed one-hit KO. He can use Hyper Beam, which is a guaranteed one-hit KO. He's always going to outspeed us with Gyarados. So we really need him to use Leer with his Gyarados. And then we need to get the right setup on all the other Pokemon, because if we don't, this could be bad. I had plenty of resets at Agatha. I had 1 or 2 resets against Bruno. Lorelei at the beginning was really the hardest part up to this point. But we're going to see that Lance can be pretty trolly in some ways, but he's a perfect example of why we're using this substitute counter strat. You see, once we're able to put him to sleep, we can set up a substitute. We're going to use Ice Beam here just to see what happens, do a little bit of damage while he's asleep. Let's hit him just a couple more times, and the turn he wakes up, guess what happens? He gets frozen. That's a guaranteed win now against the Gyarados. We can just switch to Charmander and just start spamming Dragon Rage. This Pokemon's going down. Yes, Lance uses Hyper Potions, which means that we're going to have to use up almost all of our Dragon Rages right here. But a freeze is still awesome. Okay, so first Dragonair is coming out, and we need to switch to Ghastly. I want to confuse it. Now this Dragonair likes to use Thunderbolt and Thunder Wave, which is part of why I used Ghastly there. I wanted it to use Thunder Wave, and I wanted to confuse it. Once it's confused, I can now move on to my next Pokemon, and here the whole idea is to keep it confused and try to do damage to it with Toxic. So next Dragonair is coming out, and here we are going to set up Lovely Kiss, Substitute, and then what we're really hoping to get is a Hyper Beam. A Hyper Beam would enable us to just knock this Dragonair out in one hit. Let's see if we get the luck here. Its attack misses, okay, and there's Hyper Beam. It uses Hyper Beam. That is game over for the Dragonair. Next up, we have Aerodactyl, and Aerodactyl is another one of these Pokemon that can be really trolly. At this point, we just have to hope to get the luck to not get hit. We confuse it, which is perfect. I'm going for Ice Beam, but we get taken out by Hyper Beam. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and switch into Moltres here. We use Toxic, and we get taken out, but at least now we have it in a situation where eventually we should be able to get through. We get another miss, and that means that we can set up our counter. We take it down. We have just a couple Pokemon left, but that's fine. We're going to try Ice Beam here and get the freeze on the Dragonite. This takes a ton of attempts, guys. This is not luck that you get in your first attempt, in your second attempt, in your 10th attempt. No. You have to get really, really lucky to get this. So this is the point where I realize that I did not stock enough revives going into this. So I'm going to have to leave one of my Pokemon fainted for the champion. And I decide to leave Ghastly. It's not going to do that well against a lot of his team. It's not like we have strats where we're trying to use Ghastly to get them to use a certain bad move. So I decide, you know what, Ghastly's the one that has to go. But here we have finally made it to the champion, and we're just going to have to see if we can get through. My basic strategy is this. We need Sandslash to miss, okay? And the number of times that it takes to get a run where Sandslash can miss you is ridiculous. Sandslash has one move that is less than 100% accuracy, and that move is Fury Swipes. Fury Swipes is the only move that it has that is capable of missing more off than a Gen 1 miss. And now we get the chance to set up our counter. If it uses Slash, done. It's out of there. Next up, we're going to try to put this Alakazam to sleep here. And basically, if we can get it down, we're going to go ahead and set up now with our next Pokemon. Here, I'm just completely lost which Pokemon to use. I decided to use Charmander. I decide that it's less useful later in the battle. So here, we're setting up a substitute and going for Dragon Rage. Please just stay asleep. Come on. And there we go. We get through Alakazam. No problem. Next up is Exeggutor. We've already got our substitute set up. And I use Counter because it uses Stomp. That's its main attacking move. We take it down. Ninetales. Ninetales can be a little bit trolly, but with a fire type out there, it likes to use Confuse Ray, it likes to use Tail Whip, which means that we're going to get some opportunities to set up here and get through. So we get the setup. We just need to get a little bit of Toxic Luck here, and let's see how this goes. Just a little more, just a little more, just a little more. Okay, it goes down. We knock it down, and next up, Magneton. Magneton is tough, but it does have some weaknesses here. We are sending out Dratini because we're hoping that it will use Screech. If we send out a Pokemon that is weak to electric type moves, it might use Thunder Wave instead, but no, we got some Screeches and we were able to take it down. So now, we have one last Pokemon, Vaporeon. Vaporeon is not easy. It has a great moveset for getting through a lot of these Pokemon. Aurora Beam. It has Quick Attack. It knows Mist, which is exactly what we needed right here. That's what lets us start trying to set up on it. I was going for a Freeze and it didn't work. Here, Quick Attack takes out our Cloyster. We need some luck. We need a Hydro Pump Miss here. We get the Hydro Pump Miss and we counter the Quick Attack. That's all it took. We got through. And we got through the champion with only 5 Pokemon remaining. That's right. This is a completed challenge in Yellow version. Now look, this is always going to be luck-based, guys. You're going to have to grind and grind and grind to have any chance of getting through this. But now that we've done it, it can go up on YouTube as Immortality. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Later.